I've come into possession of a villa in the south of France.
What villa?
Start at the beginning.
They spend a few days together and he gives her a house.
You never thought to turn it down?
Do I look as if I'd turned down a villa in the south of France?
Dame Maggie Smith is back playing the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey, A New Era, which is of course based on the popular TV show. In this film, half of the cast decamps to France while the rest stays home because a film company wants to make a movie at Downton. As was the case with the TV series, there's a lot going on in this story. There's so many characters that it's hard to get emotionally invested in anything that happens here. But credit the screenplay that puts a nice bow on most of the characters' story arcs. This is probably the last we'll see of Downton, but fortunately the movie proves to be a fond and fitting farewell to the series.
You're tormented.
It feels more like...
Haunted.
Yeah.
Men is the latest from director Alex Garland. It's the story of a woman who goes to the English countryside to recover after the apparent suicide of her husband. There's a sense of menace that slowly builds before becoming a full-out body horror movie, and it's quite graphic. Not for the faint of heart, but this is a stylish horror film that's as much about toxic masculinity as it is about blood and guts.
What's the first thing that pops into your head when I say Chip and Dale? I bet it's these guys!
The surprise of the week is the delightful Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers over on Disney+. This is a big adventure for the kiddies, but I also loved all of the gags and in-jokes for mom and dad. It's a really solid piece of meta entertainment for the whole family.
I was always more of an Alvin and the Chipmunks person.
You monster.
And that's what's new in a pretty good week at the movies. I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy.
There are, once again, 3 new movies to talk about this week. The difference is that this time Sean McBride, the movie guy, says, hey, they're all actually pretty good. Here he is this morning joining us in studio to talk about those 3 movies. And I'll be honest with you, I only know of one, and I only know about it because grandkids told me about it.
Oh, that's amazing that you went to Rescue Rangers.
I haven't been, but I've heard that they may be going soon.
I gotta tell you, I watched this movie and I'm like you. You know, you have a Downton Abbey movie,
right.
A lot of expectations. You have the new Alex Garland movie, a lot of expectations. And the one that I was most pleasantly surprised with was Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. And I am older that I didn't watch Rescue Rangers as a kid. That wasn't my generation. And I sat there and I'm watching this thing. Rescue Rangers is on Disney+. And I'm watching it and I'm going, there's a lot of stuff for grown-ups, for mom and dad here. Obviously not grown-up material. But I'm sitting there watching that, seeing wonderful sight gags, cool stuff. Obviously it's Disney, so they have access to all the Disney IP, so they can poke fun at previous Disney movies. I found it delightful. And then at its heart, it is basically a Rescue Rangers movie with lots of animated characters, both in 3D and in 2D. It's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, it's an interesting mix,
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
It's a little off-putting at times, but wonderful supporting cast. You know, these animated films, a lot of times you have big actors that want to play simply because they want to do something they can start taking their kids to. I was just I just sat there going, okay, I'm going to watch this while I'm doing something else on my phone or whatever. And no, I didn't. I watched this movie.
But it's interesting because the people that would have watched Rescue Rangers are not the kids now. They're the ones who are, 30 years old, mid-30s.
Or they're the ones that have kids now.
Well, and they're watching them now. Yeah, that's
exactly.
probably true. It'd be interesting to see how it does at the box office.
On Disney Plus, though, not in the theaters.
That's right. You don't even have to go to the theaters.
Right, exactly.
All right, so let's talk about if you had to pick one movie other than that one you would see again, it would be neither.
Top Gun next week. But, it's Downton Abbey, obviously, the big one this week. And it's obviously, if you're a fan of Downton Abbey, this is your movie. You've been looking at this one for 3 years now. Delayed because of COVID, but it's finally here. It's a tough sell because you have so many characters in this series. And so the ability to delve into what's actually happening with them is tough because you just don't have time to deal with everyone. Cast of thousands, literally. But I think they did a very good job. That's Julian Fellows continues to write for it. I think he's really quite acclaimed at this. The story this time around is that Violet, the Dowager Countess, played by Maggie Smith, has inherited a villa in the south of France. And so they have to figure out why. Why did some strange man from her past give her a villa? Gotcha. And then at the same time, a filmmaking company decides to come to Downton and make a movie. And it's kind of takes the same issue as Singing in the Rain. It's going from silent films to talkies. Gotcha. So Lady Mary stays behind, and she's going to protect the integrity of Downton and whatnot. Look, I'm not going to say I was a huge fan of the series, but I quite enjoyed this.
Well,
one.
you know, and what I was going to say, those who are big fans, it's like you said, this essentially is one episode.
Yeah.
You know, out of what they were used to seeing on a weekly basis.
It's
So-
probably 3 episodes, but it's all packed in there.
Yeah,
but,
maybe. But it'll be interesting. And how long can you carry on the franchise?
I think this is the last one.
You think so?
And it really feels like he put a bow, Gillian Fellows put a bow on each character and their relationship. I think he did a good job. I think fans will be very pleased. Little bit of tragedy, but a lot of happy endings.
All right, let's finish with the final film.
Alex Garland, he's the director of, he's the guy that made Ex Machina, a film that I really liked, Annihilation, another film I really liked. This is a horror film, but Alex Garland is always known about playing with gender and what's going on. So it's a woman, she goes to the English countryside, it's Jessie Buckley there, and she wants to get over a tragedy, the death of her husband, and she runs into Rory Kinnear, who is the guy, he's all the guys. So the landlord is played by Rory Kinnear. The policeman, he plays like, I think it's 8 different characters.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny, I was at the screening and a woman sitting next to her husband said, is that the same guy? They all start to look alike. It's like, yes, it is the same guy. This starts out as a film about toxic masculinity. It's kind of a slow build. And then be aware, it turns into a bloody body horror film. It has a gonzo ending that I'm not a fan of. I don't think the ending works very well.
Okay.
But I think the slow build works very well. And it's Alex Garland, as a filmmaker we really quite like.
All right, sounds good. So there are your 3 choices. Obviously, we've got a lot of streaming choices as well. And
Always.
for a great change in a long time, it actually may be a wet weekend. So
Yeah,
you might
reason
be
to go to the
looking
theater.
for entertainment either at home
Exactly.
or at the movie theater, either one. Sean, as always, thank
Sure.
you, sir. Appreciate your dropping by.